Today's the disappearance day of Gadadhar Pandit and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And just the one thing is, before we begin, we have a few bhajans and then some reading about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I apologize. I put so much together. I don't know if we really have time to read about Gadadhar Pandit. The devotees gathered this evening, and you want to read a little bit about Gadadhar Pandit. Is that appropriate in the evening? Okay. One thing that's we're reminded over and over again that on these different holy days, these personalities are particularly present and available for requests for mercy and guidance. It's kind of like, just like, sometimes you hear or see the king will come out on the balcony on a particular day and say, whatever you want. Or just like, I guess, an example of the Mahabharata would be Karna. Every day at noon, he would just come, and whoever approached him, whatever they wanted, he would give. Because he was, of course, the son of Surya, so at that noon he would do a little puja, and who was the Brahmin who asked for something very special? Because he was born with armor, and asked for all his armor. I don't know who that was. Who was that who asked for that armor? But it was obviously, Krishna said, why don't you go and ask for all his armor? Because without that armor on the battle of Kurukshetra, he was vulnerable. But he said, yes, I'll give you whatever you want. You want my whole kingdom? He said, just take it. Even though he knew what was going to happen. So the point is, these great personalities, they're always available to us, but especially on their appearance and disappearance days, so we should take advantage and to glorify them and request some extra special mercy. So as is appropriate, because this is the Tirobhav, the disappearance, Ramapati Prabhu will lead us in the first bhajan. This is a lamentation due to separation from the Lord and His associates. So to actually feel separation from these personalities is a sign of someone who's really Krishna conscious. Because if we're not feeling separation from these divine personalities who've passed on, and this song is all about that, how one should actually feel. How does Narottam Das Thakur feel? In fact, I should probably read the translation before we sing the song, so we can enter into the mood of what we're reciting and singing here. So, English. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Sup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatt and Gopal Bhatta? Where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. If you know the history of Narottam Das Thakur, he appeared after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and at a certain time he was told to go to Puri, but some of the devotees had left already. And actually, Gadadhar was there, Gadadhar Pandit, and he was requested to study the Bhagavatam under Gadadhar Pandit. But Gadadhar Pandit said, my Bhagavatam is ruined because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cried so much when I read to him that all the tears washed all the ink. So go get another Bhagavatam, then we'll start Bhagavatam class. So he left to get another Bhagavatam. It wasn't you can go to the local Hare Krishna temple and pick up a copy. But by the time he actually found one, and he came back and Gadadhar Pandit was gone. And then he went on to Vrindavan to see Rupa and Sanatana, and they were all gone. So, and then, of course, Srinivasacharya, his great friend, and Shiksha Guru, and so on, and Ramacharya, they all left. So the song here is how feeling great separation from all these divine personalities who you could say, missed. In his association, he missed. So the microphone should be brought over to Ramapati, since he's leading. Someone who's a free candidate, just bring this over, and then we'll come back for some readings and so on.
Jayanila Premadhana Karuna Prachur Jayanila Premadhana Karuna Prachur Jayanila Premadhana Karuna Prabhu Kotha Gala Acharya Thakur Prabhu Kotha Gala Acharya Thakur Ahamar Sarubrupa Kaha Sanata Kahamara Sarubrupa Kaha Sanata Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pava Kahama Dasaragunata Patita Pava Kahamara Bhatta Yoga Kaha Kabira Kale Kotha Gala Gaura Natora Kale Kotha Gala Gaura Natora Pasane Kodiva Matha Anale Prasiva Gauranga Gunera Nidhe Kotha Gale Pava Sava Sangira Sange Je Koila Bila Sava Sangira Si Sangha Paya Kande Narotamoda Se Sangha Paya Kande Narotamoda Se Sangha Paya Kande Narotamoda prabhu kotha gala acharya thakur. Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava
So why is Bhaktivinoda Thakur referred to as the seventh Goswami? Because even as a householder and as having many, many responsible positions, as in the magistrate, in the government, as teacher, and so on, he led a life completely surrendered to Krishna and preaching Krishna consciousness, renounced, and so his life was like that of a Goswami, like that, an exalted Goswami. So he's been referred to as the seventh Goswami. So I chose a few selections from this book. The first one, I'm just going to go through, is taken from the preface. I was listening to a class recently by Bir Krishna Maharaj on this day, and he spent quite a lot of the class describing one of the greatest achievements. Now later on, one of the sections I'm going to read is going to describe the three greatest contributions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And one of them was rescuing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. The condition that what people thought of his movement because of all the asampradayas and apasampradayas. And just like in today's world, the Hare Krishna movement is actually pretty much not even noticed. But imagine if it was noticed and everyone had it completely wrong, and they thought us as just being licentious, just horrible. They just like you walk down the street, they say they had it all wrong. Just like in the movement. I remember, like in India, there was some movie about how all the devotees smoked marijuana or something like that. There was some kind of movie or something like that, and so they just had it all wrong. Because of some foolish movie or something like that, they had it wrong. All a bunch of hippies and things like that, they had it wrong. And you had to turn that around. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it wasn't just the common people, but the scholars and religionists and all, they had a very, and because there were things going bad in the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So there's a little reference to it here. The last great obstacle confronted by the Thakur was the widespread acceptance of the doctrines of the numerous deviant Sahajiya pseudo-devotee groups which had sprung up after the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his principal followers. There were a variety of spurious ideas and practices espoused by these groups which did not create much in the way of regards in the minds of the Bengali thinkers of the day. Unfortunately, such groups were thought to represent standard Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Some of them espouse very sentimental versions of Gaudiya Vaishnava doctrines in which mundane physical sensuality amongst its members was equalized with the completely transcendental conjugal affairs of Radha and Krishna. Some mixed Islam with Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Assalamu alaikum Prabhus, it's time for Mangalartik. Right? Some of them smoked ganja and had illicit sexual intercourse, took advantage of sentimental people for material gain, practiced tantric rituals, etc. All this in the name of the pure doctrines of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is more, a group of publishers called the Bharatalas, out of commercial motivation, popularized these different literatures of many of these bogus groups by publishing and disseminating them widely in the villages. It is estimated that between 1815 and 1899, more than 50 such works were published, and thus Sahajiya Vaishnavism and its rancid ideas became accepted as standard amongst the less educated masses in the villages. So this is what he was up against. Thus, the Thakur had a great deal to contend with in his struggle to establish the pure and original teachings of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And yet, because of his journalistic attempts, especially through the very popular and widely read Vaishnav journal Sajjana Toshini, his organization of door-to-door preaching in the villages, his publication of authentic philosophical works by the six Goswamis and their followers, and his discovery and establishment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace as the principal place of pilgrimage in all of Bengal, and his instructing and educating many followers, including his son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who successfully disseminated his father's mission all over India and other parts of the world. He was enormously successful. So that's a little bit about that. So this is a little taken from the summary of his life, because I wanted to pick out some things I usually don't read on this day. So, 234. I mean, you can imagine if you were given that responsibility to turn the minds of the general population and the academia, or whatever you want to call it, the philosophical of the day, intelligentsia. How would you go about doing that if you were given that? I mean, it's a monumental task, especially in a place like India where yatapat tatamat or whatever, right? It's very difficult. So, but he did it in his lifetime. He did it. Such an empowered personality. So this is taken from a description of his life. There's a few excerpts here. 234. Okay, this is actually Prabhupada's writing. It says, a little reference to what we just read. Practically, this Chaitanya movement was, of course, Lord Chaitanya inaugurated this movement 500 years ago, and after that, so many pseudo-Chaitanyites deprecated the whole thing. But the Chaitanya movement, in its pure form as it is, was restarted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We should take it that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the origin of the Krishna conscious movement in its pure form. Bhaktivinoda wrote almost 100 books. Just imagine, he was a very responsible officer, a magistrate, and he was grihasta. He also had many children. Altogether, he had 10 children, and he had to take care of them, the office of magistrate and extra religious work. He was made superintendent of the temple of Jagannath because the government knew that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a highly advanced religious person. Whenever there was some religious question, he was consulted. In spite of all his responsibilities as officer or as family man with so many children, he executed his family life very nicely, or else he could not have produced such a child as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. At the same time, he served the Supreme Lord in so many ways. That is the beauty. He has written so many books, and in spite of cumbersome duties, that is the beauty of his life. He would come home from the office in the evening, take his meals, and then go to bed. That was his program. And he'd sleep from 8 to 12 at night, 4 hours, and then get up and write books until morning. That was his program. In this way, he wrote hundreds of books, some published and some in the course of being published. All this became possible because he was a sincere, faithful servant. To write so many books with so many responsibilities for an ordinary magistrate is not possible. But because he was sincere, he got the strength from the Supreme Lord. One does not need to seek strength separate from the Supreme Lord. But if you are sincere, the Supreme Lord will give you sufficient strength. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought my Guru Maharaj to this world to be his son. He prayed to Lord Chaitanya that your preaching and teachings have been so much deprecated, it is not in my power to correct them. He prayed to Lord Chaitanya, and after his prayer, Lord Chaitanya sent my Guru Maharaj as his son, and he took up the matter seriously. This delightful summary of Thakur's life by Srila Prabhupada certifies a very important point for our understanding, that the pure cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had been lost for all practical purposes, and that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur reestablished the whole thing almost single-handedly. He also points out that it was the desire of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that the Krishna conscious movement spread all over the world. He thus credits this desire to the Thakur and Lord Chaitanya as resulting in the appearance of Srila Saraswati Thakur and Prabhupada's own subsequent linking with the line of the civic succession. Thus, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is a result of the desire and grace of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as substantiated by Srila Prabhupada in the above statements. Prabhupada also puts special stress on how the Thakur was given empowerment or strength by the Lord to write transcendental literatures for the benefit of the world. We see how Srila Prabhupada also followed wonderfully in this line, executing the austerities of rising early for the composition of transcendental literature. He poignantly states that with respect to the Thakur's literary accomplishments, that he accomplished so much despite cumbersome duties, and that this was the beauty of his life. In a biography of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, written by Bhakti Kusham Shrama Maharaj, he identifies three major areas of the Thakur's achievements. So these are the three ones. First, his books and writings in various languages dealing with the science of Krishna consciousness as found in the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the revealed scriptures. Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew how many languages? Bengali, Sanskrit, Urdu, English, right? Also Aryan, and then he also knew, I think, Greek and Latin. Yes, he was quite a scholar. Quite a scholar. We have a hard time just speaking English, right? Going in Southern California, it's kind of hard just to talk English. Okay. Second, the discovery of the Lord's actual birthplace. That pastime is there. Third, the innovations he introduced for the purpose of preaching the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and the six Goswamis throughout the world. Beyond this, the Thakur established the deities of Lord Chaitanya in Srimati Vishnupriya at Mayapur, and in Godrumnadvip, in his place of bhajan, he established and worshipped the deities Gora, Gadadhar. He also personally preached about pure Krishna bhakti, and his activities demonstrated his limitless enthusiasm and determination for broadcasting Vaishnava Dharma. These characteristics are all indications of his being an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. 10. This is something I came across. I'd never really captured this, read this very much before. Pull this up. Now this is taken from one of the books he wrote. And I don't know if it's the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he sent out. But there's a little, this is just in his instructions. It's a few paragraphs here. Listen to this. So he's speaking to all of us. Quote, while located in the Mayic world, has anyone been there before? That's where we are. One must live peacefully with the object of cultivating the spirit. In his society, he must lead a pure life, avoid sins, and do as much good as he can to his brother man. He must be himself humble, bearing difficulties of life with heroism, must not brag of any goodness or grandeur he has, and must treat everyone with the respect due to him. Marriage with a view to peaceful and virtuous life and with a view to procreate servants of the Lord is a good institution for a Vaishnava. Spiritual cultivation is the main object of life. Do everything that helps it and abstain from doing anything which thwarts the cultivation of the spirit. Have a strong faith that Krishna alone protects you and none else. Admit him as your only guardian. Do everything which you know that Krishna wishes you to do, and never think that you do a thing independent of the holy wish of Krishna. Do all that you do with humility. Always remember that you are a sojourner in this world, and that you must be prepared for your own home. Do your duties and cultivate bhakti as a means to obtain a great end of life, Krishna Priti. Employ your body, mind, and spirit in the service of the deity, and all your actions worship your great Lord. In his final advice, it is significant that the Thakur mentions the principle of humility twice and gives special emphasis to the idea of seeing oneself always under the exclusive protection and shelter of Krishna. This paragraph is perfect counsel for all who would progress in the spiritual line. Finally, the Thakur expresses his own humility and eagerness to assist any sincere soul by making the offer of further instruction to those who are interested. So in this book he wrote, you can always contact me. Contact me for more correspondence and so on. Now this particular section is 12 verses. Let me just pull it up here. 221, this chapter. It's very... Here it is. It's called the Sri Swa Niyama Vashadakam, 12 verses of self-imposed regulative principles. These are 12 instructions he's written. So take note on this if you like. So number 1, birth after birth, let me be attached to the following. Come what may. 1, to my spiritual master. 2, to Lord Sri Gauranga. 3, to the topics of pure devotional service as instructed by him. 4, to the holy places of pilgrimage, which are all blooming with sanctity due to his performance of pastimes there. Can you open that door, please, a little bit? That's not one of the instructions. We need some air in here. Okay, in case you're... 5, to my Diksha mantra. 6, to the holy name of Sri Hari. 7, to the beloved associates of the Lord. 8, to the holy days associated with Lord Hari. 9, to those persons who follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. And 10, to the scriptures enunciated by Sri Sukadev Goswami. So the second verse. Within the forest of Brinda, which is gloriously rich in the treasure of Madhurya Rasa, Sri Krishna, the personification of spiritual mellows, gives transcendental bliss to Sri Radhika, who is the topmost manifestation of his divine potencies and the personified form of the supreme mellow of love and separation. This same Lord Krishna is identical to the son of Mother Sachi, who resides in Gaudadesh and teaches the process for rendering his own devotional service. May this Sachi Nandan be my supreme master, birth after birth. So the third one. Let not renunciation be fit for my acceptance if it does not give rise to loving devotion. So no dry renunciation. And let not knowledge appeal to me at all if it does not admit to the individuality of the Lord in the jivas. I have no desire at all to practice the eightfold yoga process. None of these are productive of the happiness of serving Lord Hari such as his confidential worship is. Therefore, let such abundant, confidential service to Sri Sri Radha Krishna be mine. So in other words, not interested in yoga and renunciation and gyan unless it helps leads to Krishna, serving Krishna. 4, may I always dwell in a humble cottage at the root of a desire tree in the holy abode of Sri Sachi Suna, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and there perform devotional service as practiced in Braja. Let me never dwell in any place, any other place, even if it is fit for the happy residence of most of the enlightened persons, nor even in a palace furnished with all the rich trappings of sovereignty. So he'd rather just live in a little hut and perform his devotional service. 5, I have no attachment at all for the caste divisions of society, varnas, and I certainly do not identify with any of the social orders of life, ashrams. That's the other way around, actually. Is it? Ashrams. Okay. I have not the least fondness for religion or for sinful life in this world. Instead, I desire to perform whatever duties are required for the maintenance of my body of dull matter, so long as they facilitate my performance of pure devotional service. Number 6, my austere vow is devotion to the lotus feet of Sri Hari. Thus I have chosen to cultivate the following in myself. So this is what he wants to cultivate in himself. This is an example for us. Great humility, simplicity, tolerance in all circumstances, respect for others, and compassion. Please repeat after me. Great humility, simplicity, tolerance in all circumstances, respect for others, and compassion. Those transcendental activities alone are mine, which are recommended by devotees of the lotus feet of the Lord, and which are found described in books that are full of the imperishable character and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya. 7, I have no longing for residence in the kingdom of Vaikuntha, nor for sense gratification or material works. I will never cherish the desire for attaining impersonal liberation, even for a second. There are, moreover, pastimes of Sri Hari that are purifying for the conditioned souls, yet they are different from the bliss experienced in Braja. In being devoid of any relationship with Sri Radhika, they give me no happiness at all. So he just wants he's a devotee of Krishna. So there may be other incarnations and so on, Vishnu and so on, but he's attracted to worshipping Radha and Krishna. 8, I disown wife, daughters, sons, mother, and all my friends if they have no genuine attachment for Lord Hari, for his devotees, or for his devotional service. It is a great blunder even to accept foodstuffs prepared by such non-devotional, materialistic sense gratifiers. How will the perfection of my Hari Bhajan ever come about if I remain in their association? 9, some persons have utterly rejected the evil company of those who are blinded by mundane logic, those who are addicted to the fleeting pleasures of the dull material body, those who turn their faces against Lord Sri Krishna, and those who are fond of the inferior concept of a personal liberation. However, being swollen with excessive pride, they worship Govinda without Srimati Radharani being present. Therefore, I vow that I'll never go near such as these, not even for a second. Very strict. 10. I shall pass my life eating only prasad. Is everyone awake for that one? Okay. I shall pass my life eating only prasad, food grains and milk products, wearing only cloth that was offered to the deity, and using my utensils sanctified by the Lord's service. I will thus remain aloof from material sense gratification, living in a place sacred to Radha, worshipping the divine couple with a blissful mind. I will in time give up my body at the soles of the devotees' lotus feet, who are themselves serving the lotus feet of the divine couple. It's a wonderful aspiration, to give up your body at the soles of the devotees. That's S-O-L-E-S, like at the feet, the soles. 11, daily I will take the nectar that has washed the feet of one who is expert at grasping the instructions of the son of Mother Sachi, and who incessantly adores the most worshipful personality, the enjoyer of mellows with Krishna, Srimati Radharani, within the forest of Braja. I will carry it on my head with a restrained mind, and drinking it with great bliss. I will then offer my prostrations unto him. 12, the last one. My constitutional tendency, my constitutional tendency, need a little water here. Hare Krishna. I think that's better. My constitutional tendency is one of servitude to Lord Hari, and will be a long time yet to come. Due to the deluding power of Mahamaya, however, I have fallen into the ocean of misery. I will rise above this world of suffering by daily following my self-imposed regulations with determination. May my only guide be the mercy of the Vaishnavas, which destroys illusions. So this is a guide for himself and for devotees, these 12 different principles. Okay, and there's one other section, small section I'd like to read, then we'll sing one more bhajan, if that's okay. This is the page 230. This is actually his disappearance pastimes, because today is the Tirubhav, the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And there's a chapter entitled Last Days. After taking to the renounced road of life, the Thakur accepted some disciples, and one of them, Krishnadas Babaji, continued to serve him as he had in Jagannath Puri. Feeling a strong desire to be fully absorbed in the spiritual plane, the Thakur shut himself up in Bhakti Bhavan in the year 1910 so that he could remain uninterruptedly engaged in the divine service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Feigning paralysis before the eyes of common people, he entered into a state of total samadhi, spiritual trance. On June 23, 1914, the sun began its southern course. It was the same day that Gadadhar Pandit, the incarnation of Srimati Radharani, had left the world some 450 years before. Precisely at noon, the Thakur entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord, far beyond the vision of the conditioned souls of this world. This is the Thakur Samadhi ceremony was delayed until the sun began its northern course. At that time, his last remains, his ashes, were taken from the Bhakti Bhavan and brought to his home in Godumna Dweep. There they were placed in a silver urn and buried in the midst of a huge kirtan and festival held in his honor by his disciples and friends. Hundreds took part, and his direct presence was experienced by everyone. Truly, the Thakur's great stanza composed in glorification of Srila Haridas Thakur applies to him. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die. When thou art living still and sound, the Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. So, I guess you really can't say in conclusion, because there's so much to be said and so many glories, and this book is one of the wonderful biographies on Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, we'll finish the class by singing one bhajan. And Bhadranarayan Mahaprabhu's, I remember when he first came here, he used to sing this song sometimes at the beginning of Bhagavatam class, because he was there in Mayapur when Prabhupada said, if you sing this song daily, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will personally come and take you back home, back to Godhead. So, this is the Arundaya Kirtan, Part 1. Actually, I think it's in the section on Thakur Bhakti Vinod. It's the first song that's there in the section on his songs. Aruna Karuna Bhaje. Here it is. Let me get a page. Here we go. It's starting on page 38. There's 8 verses. So you take the microphone here for. Udila Aruna.
Nijamani Gauraya Mani Jage Bhakata Samuhalaya Sathe Galanagara Braje Bhakata Samuhalaya Sathe Galanagara Braje Tatoy Tatoy Vajilakho Gana Ghana Dahe Jhajarara Doi Tathoy Vajilakho Gana Ghana Dahe Jhajarara Preme Dala Dala Sonarayanga চরণে নূপুর বাজে মুকুন্দ মাধব যাদব হরে বলেন বলরে বদন ভরে মুকুন্দ মাধব যাদব বলেন বলরে বদন ভরে মিছে নিদ্রা বসে গেলরে রাত্রি দিবস শরীর সাজে মিছে নিদ্রা বসে গেল রে রাত্রি দিবস শরীর এমন দুর্লভ মানব দেহ পাইয়া কি কর ভাবনা কেহ এমন দুর্লভ মানব দেহ পাইয়া কি কর ভাবনা কেহ ইবি না ভজিলে যশোদা সুত চরণে পরিবে লাজে উদিত তাপন হইবে অস্ত দিন গেল বলে হইবে ব্যস্ত উদিত তাপন হইবে অস্ত দিন গেল বলে তবে কেন এবে অলসহ নবজ হৃদয় রাজে জীবন নিত্য জন হসার তাহে নানা বিদ বিপদ ভার জীবন নিত্য জন হসার তাহে নানা বিদ বিপদ নামাশ্রয় করি যতনে তুমি তাকহ আপন কাজে নামাশ্রয় করি জীবের কল্যাণ সাধন কাম জগতে আসে মধুর নাম জীবের কল্যাণ সাধন কাম জগতে আসে মধুর নাম অবিদ্যা তিমিরা তপন রূপে হৃদগগন বিরাজে আবিদ্যা তিমিরা তপন রূপে হৃদগগন বিরাজে কৃষ্ণ নাম সুধা করিয়া প্রাণ জোরার ভক্তি বিনোদ পান নাম সুধা করিয়া প্রাণ জোরা ভক্তি বিনোদ প্রাণ নাম বিনা কিছু নাই কর চত্ত ভুবন মাঝে kawaro chatra bhuvana maje Pakata samahalaya sate galana garavaje
When a tinge of red on the eastern horizon heralded the sunrise, the jewel of the twice-born Lord Gaur Sundar immediately awakened. Taking his devotees with him, he went all over the countryside, visiting the towns and villages of Nadia. The mridangas resounded, tatai, tatai, the cymbals chimed in time, and Lord Gauranga's footbells jingled as his golden form trembled slightly in ecstatic love of God. Lord Chaitanya called out to the townsfolk, "You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. Now just fill your mouths with the vibration of the holy names Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, Hari, chanting without offense. You have achieved the rare human body. Don't you care for this gift? If you do not serve the darling of Yashoda now, great sorrow awaits you at death." Each time the sun rises and sets, a day passes and is lost. Then why do you remain idle and refuse to serve the Lord of the heart? Understand this essential fact. Life is temporary and full of all kinds of miseries. So make it your only business to take shelter of the holy name and always engage in his service. Desiring to bless all souls, the sweet name of Krishna has descended to the material world and now shines like the sun in the sky of the heart, destroying the darkness of ignorance. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna and thus satisfy the soul of Bhakti Vinod. There is nothing but the holy name within all the 14 worlds. Lord Gauranga is called... Oh, I'm sorry, that's the next one. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai.
As I mentioned earlier in the beginning, that on these appearance days, it's a special day for requesting and praying for the blessings of these personalities. So, of course, today praying for the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the mercy of Gadadhar Pandit. And there's actually one pastime with Gadadhar Pandit. I just heard the other day, Mahabharat told me, because our understanding in our readings today, how much we're dependent upon the mercy of the Vaishnavas, the spiritual master, for our advancement. In fact, there's na kati katopi. There's not going to happen unless we get the mercy of the Vaishnavas and the Acharyas. So there's one pastime in the early days. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Nimai Pandit. He was a very proud, posing or acting as a very, very proud scholar, not at all interested in Krishna consciousness, and he liked to argue because Nyaya is logic. He liked to argue with everyone he saw on the streets there in Nadia. And the Vaishnavas, they're not really interested in that, so they would actually avoid him. You see someone coming down the street, you don't want to deal with them, you kind of like cross the street or just duck in an alley or something like that. So they would regularly just avoid him, And sometimes he would accost the devotees, "Why are you avoiding me?" And they'd start all these arguments. Because he was so good, didn't matter what you said, he would turn it around and tie you up and spit you out. Because But there was this one pastime where he's coming down the street and Gadadhar, who was a little bit older, they met. And Gadadhar went right up to him, Gadadhar Pandit went up to him and said, "Why is it that you're acting like this? You have all the blessings, beautiful bodily form, super intelligent, all the Vedas, fully blessed life. If you were a Vaishnav, you could do so much for spreading Krishna consciousness and delivering the fallen souls if you were just a Vaishnav. And Nimai, instead of arguing, folded his hands and said, "You're right." And the other Vaishnavas gathered around like that. He said, "You're absolutely right." And just very quietly left. And the commentary is that showing that, Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can decide to be, engaged in devotional service. But that pastime is there because it's by the mercy and the desires of the devotees that one becomes Krishna conscious. So the Gadadhar Pandit was just asking him and giving that blessing that you should become a devotee. You could do so much. And he took it upon his head to show that that's what we need to do. We need to take the blessings of the great devotees upon our head in order to advance in Krishna consciousness. So we should pray for the blessings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Gadadhar Pandit today upon our heads. And again, it's a special darshan of them. They open it up, especially on their appearance and disappearance days. So it's like a sale. It's like 50% off today on their mercy. So get it. Because tomorrow it goes back up to 100%. So it's 50% off today. So we can end. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.